In this video, I will give you all 6 players that you need to succeed for the Christmas Day matchup between the Vikings and the Saints on DraftKings Showdown Captain Mode. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Holidays to whatever you may celebrate. Enjoy the finale to what has otherwise been 1 year for the history books. My name's Quick Pick Nick, and having simulated a couple 100,000 different roster builds, here are your locks and lotteries for the NFL on Christmas, December 25th, 2020. If you like this kind of fast-paced, calculated content, subscribe and stay tuned for more lineups throughout the season, including a special Saturday slate of football on FanDuel starting tomorrow morning. To start off this lineup with our first locks, my model recommends taking both quarterbacks Drew Brees and Kirk Cousins. As the 3rd and 4th ranking players on DraftKings price list, both of these quarterbacks should still be able to put up quarterback-like numbers tonight. And for only $10,200 and $9,600 on DraftKings respectively, we will be getting 2 players who have the potential to cross that 20-point threshold, as well as the foundation and consistency of scoring at least a dozen points. It's basically a high floor, high ceiling situation with both of these quarterbacks, and they are both priced low enough such that they should both find spots in your lineup. With Brees, it's clear that his arm strength isn't what it used to be, and that his age may start taking a toll on his play, but Brees proved last week against Kansas City that he has what it takes to go on a run with the Saints in the playoffs, scoring over 20 fantasy points against what many consider to be the frontrunner for the Super Bowl. Throughout the season, Brees' numbers haven't been too impressive, but coming off a 20-plus point performance and going into a matchup against Minnesota's 24th ranked defense with respect to pass yards allowed per game, Brees is one of the best picks tonight. Cousins doesn't have the benefit of an easy matchup as the Saints rank 5th in pass yards allowed per game, but he does have a solid record of high caliber performances against many different kinds of teams, scoring more than 18 fantasy points in weeks 9 through 15, most recently surpassing 20 fantasy points against Chicago's 13th ranked defense in pass yards allowed per game. My simulations produced several lineups including both Brees and Cousins at MVP, so there's definitely room for interpretation as to which of these players should get the bonus points, but it's at least clear that the MVP should be one or the other. Given his easier matchup, we'll be taking Brees at MVP in this lineup, but again, both quarterbacks made appearances in my top ranked lineups. It's just a matter of preference at this point. The 3rd and final lock of this lineup will be our most expensive pick, but one who will still likely be able to outscore his price point projection as my model selected Alvin Kamara. While Taysom Hill was the quarterback, Kamara seemingly suffered with Brees inactive. But over the last 2 weeks of Hill's tenure, Kamara was starting to heat back up, scoring 17.7 and 22.4 fantasy points in weeks 13 and 14. And with Brees' return last week against the Chiefs, Kamara scored 18.4 fantasy points. It seems Kamara has picked up right where he left off with Drew Brees, and against the Vikings' weak secondary and 23rd ranked defense in rush yards allowed per game, Kamara will likely be able to roll this momentum through the remainder of the regular season. For the lotteries, the first option my model found is Adam Thielen, who's a lottery for the fact that Justin Jefferson has really stepped up for the Vikings recently. While Thielen has been held to 3 and 4 targets over the past couple of weeks, Jefferson has found 11 and 8 targets, so it would seem as if Thielen has taken a backseat. However, as the roles shift in Minnesota, Jefferson will likely draw the coverage of New Orleans' top defenders, such as Marshawn Lattimore or Cameron Jordan, allowing for Thielen to find that open space and make some plays. We've seen Thielen have a slight dip in numbers before, too, as back in weeks 8 and 9, Thielen couldn't even manage 6 points in either week. But in the following weeks, up until this most recent dip at week 14, Thielen scored above 20 fantasy points in every game. Hopefully, these past couple of weeks set the stage for a similar trend, and we'll see primetime Kirk getting the ball out to Thielen once again tonight. For the last 2 lotteries, these picks are dependent on the status of Kyle Rudolph, as if he remains sidelined, one player in particular will see much more playtime. So I'll give you 2 combinations to pick between once more information comes out about Rudolph's injury. If Rudolph is limited or unable to play today, the first lineup would include Tyler Conklin and Chad Beebe, the former acting as Rudolph's replacement over the past couple of weeks, averaging nearly 12 fantasy points per game during that span, and the latter acting as Minnesota's 3rd wide receiver who might get a few points, which is really all we need for an $1,800 option on DraftKings. You could take Alexander Mattison instead of Beebe if Mattison is cleared to go, but Mattison hasn't scored more than 3 fantasy points since week 9, which is why I'm reluctant to take him and would feel safer with Beebe's nearly 4 targets per game over the past month. For the second lineup, in the case that Rudolph is active, my model selected Latavius Murray and pretty much whichever $200 player you want to bet on. The reason we're kind of throwing away this last slot is because the top 3 options have such a big difference in projections compared to the rest of the cast that it's worth trading one of our open spots for the upgrade of Brees, Cousins, and Kamara, and Thielen to an extent. With the remainder of the budget, Murray is the most reliable option by a large margin compared to any cheaper player aside from Conklin, so it would be a worthwhile move to take Murray and his consistency against the Vikings' poor rush defense and just bite the bullet to take someone like Abdullah or Josh Hill, who might not score any points at all, but that's not such a bad thing since Murray will be able to score just as many points as 2 of those lower cost players combined. That's what my model was able to come up with for the Christmas Day game on DraftKings for today, December 25th, 2020. This has been Quick Pick Nick, the intersection for sports, data analysis, and speed. Happy holidays, and thanks for watching.